over a year ago, we restored this Coleman lantern. And the plan was the next week we were going to build a wooden box to hold the lantern because the cardboard box that it came in was seeing its better days. We went out and found all of this red pine that somebody had pulled out of an old house that they're restoring, and it was molding. Old 3/4 inch thick base molding that came out of what we're assuming to be a bathroom. We took that molding and we cut it all down and we flattened it and we planed it, and I probably have some old footage somewhere that I might put in here as I'm talking over this right now of us preparing this stock. We were gung-ho, we were gonna build this box. So I took a bunch of these. This is about what we got, but it was all cut up in pieces. We planed it out, squared it off, and we got a bunch of pieces like this. We took them and we glued them together, and we made some panels like this one for a top, one for a bottom, and two for sides. Took a cedar fence post, you can see the cedar here, the rough saw still, and I glued up a panel for a front and a back, kind of the back of the box and the front of the box. I planed one side smooth, kind of left the other one rough. And then this one we planed flat and smooth front and back. It's been sitting underneath my bench now for over a year, and I decided today out of the clear blue, you know what, I'm gonna go build that box. I was going to dovetail the whole thing together. I decided no. This thing's been down there for a year. Let's just build it the way somebody in the wild, if they're out camping the first time and they want to take a lantern with them and they're gonna build a box, right? They're not gonna sit there and dovetail the box together and have all this fancy joinery. They're gonna butt joint everything together, put some screws in it, maybe some glue and some nails. Let's do it. Let's get this box together, and we'll come back when I've got kind of a rectangle. I've got this piece in now, it's in there secure. So I put 2 screws in the back, right here, and that secured it, but I was afraid about lateral shifting. If the can gets moved in here, it gets bumped a little too hard. So I put 2 screws in the bottom as well. Now that thing is solid. If I take my can of fuel, try to do this without looking, it slides in there perfect. Does not move. Look at that. Boom. So we've got our can of fuel stored in there securely now. The lantern's going to go in here. Let's get a door planed down and get a door on this thing. All right, as you can see back there, I've been planing this top away, and as it's been sitting for the past year, it has dried into a bit of a warp. There's not much we can do about that. It's got a heck of a twist in it, and if I keep planing this down to flatten it, there won't be anything left of the door. Once I put the hinges on, it'll definitely hold this side down, and then when it's closed and it's latched, it should pull all this tight, and maybe over time as moisture sets in and out of the wood, over time as moisture settles in and out of this thing, it'll flatten it down. So I'm going to use this style of hinge, right? It's kind of like fence gate style hinge here. And I'm going to hinge it from the side. But the problem is, you can see right there, that this doesn't latch perfectly, right? So I can't, if I pull it all the way up, this side doesn't go far enough down to screw to the box. So I need to modify this hinge a little bit to get it to work. So what I'm going to do is this. So basically what I did is I measured the thickness of this door and marked it on the back of the hinge here, and then put it in the vise and bent it over with a hammer, and that gives me this ability now to lay that flat and push that over here, and now I've got enough depth to be able to screw to the side of my case here. All right, so I've got the hinges on. You just saw me do that. I also added the closure clasps, brackets, whatever, the opening, the thing that keeps the door closed. I've got those on now. So the issue is I can't open this easily. That's because the door is hitting the floor, because I've got the door planed perfectly to the box. So we need to add some feet to this box. I'm going to do that with this last remaining little piece of pine here. I'm just going to cut 2-inch strips about the length of the box, minus to the front and the back, because I want it to look nice. And I'll put some chamfers on it. So maybe 2 inches wide, and I'll chamfer it down to maybe 1.5 inches wide or something, maybe 1/4 inch on each side. And make it look nice, so if you drag it around, it doesn't chip off pieces or anything, and it looks nice. And it's the last piece of like this red pine that we have left. So we'll make it all kind of match. Now the other issue is this panel here for this door has sat for a long time, and over that time it's kind of got a bit of a warp in it. So when you close it here, you see there's a bit of a gap here. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is take this little piece of pine from the scrap bin and mount it to the inside here. So one screw, and then one in the middle, and that should pull that kind of bow outwards in and flatten everything up. What that'll also do is give me room to put some hooks on these, so I can hang this off of it. Maybe I can hang a bag of extra mantles, maybe even a lighter or something. I can hang off that, and that'll be on the door when you open it. So I think that'd be kind of cool. So I'll have to do some work to this too to kind of flatten it out. It's a little uneven. It's just a cut off piece of pine, and I'll make it so the door opens and closes. So I'm gonna work on that, and when we come back, I think we're ready to paint. I think what I want to do as far as a paint schema on this thing, or paint job on this thing, is I want to paint it to make it look like it was an original Coleman box that they gave you with the lantern, right? Like maybe it was a premium thing you could buy. So I'm going to paint it all up in Coleman colors, just like the lantern. Maybe see if I can put the logo on it and stuff. And then I'm going to distress it to look like it's been around for 100 years. So I got this antique white spray paint. I'm going to paint the whole interior of the box with that, because I feel like that is the best way to like having a nice bright interior, and then I'll be able to antique it better with the lighter background. So I also went ahead and put in these 2 pieces of wood that I think are going to be really cool. So I super glued these couple wood pieces with 1/4 inch plywood in place. I'm going to use that to hold long strike matches. I did it in 2 sections, one with like a little band up top and then a bigger, deeper one below. So that way if you wanted to use short matches, you could stick them in there and still be able to get them in and out. But that way it holds the long ones in more secure, so they're not bouncing all over the place. Well, it's not my best work, but it'll do. Mainly because I'm going to sand most of it off. So some things have changed. So here's the issue. I started working on this and painted the whole logo on, and then started distressing it and realized I didn't film any of it. So here's to catch you up. I went through and I printed out like a stencil of the Coleman logo, cut it out, taped it on the box, spray painted the back white, then came through, spray painted the red over top of it, and then hand painted on all the letters and the little lantern dude. Then I went through with just a wood block and some 120 grit sandpaper, and just real lightly just kind of started scuffing it up. I want it to look like this thing's been bounced around in a truck in a garage and stuff for 100 years, right? So scuffed all that up. Then I went through with some white Scotch-Brite and just started rubbing around and just polishing little ends and things, rubbing off a little bit of paint here and there, and just kind of giving it a little polish like it would after it's been rubbed around and bounced around and a million hands have been on it. I put the rope handles on and all that stuff. Then I went and I've got some of this antique kind of dark brown wax stuff. So I use this to make stuff look really old. So that's like step one, right? So I'm going around, and anywhere that would have collected water or dirt or things like that, things where I feel like people would have touched more and would have worn things off, I'm gonna come through with like just a cheap chip brush and go on and just kind of dab some of that stuff on, and then wipe it off, and dab it on, wipe it off. Kind of the Adam Savage way of antiquing stuff, if you've ever seen his stuff. So kind of that, where you dab it on, see what it looks like, rub it off. Keep dabbing it on, putting out layers and layers and layers of stuff. Looks like layers of dirt over the years. And I'm just gonna keep going around doing that. Then on all of the edges, things where this thing would be bounced off of things or hit into something, I'm gonna start sanding again, sanding off the paint, getting down to that bare wood, things where it would just look old and weathered. So I started on this, I maybe spent 10 minutes on this. So I'm just gonna keep at this for like the next hour or two and just keep dabbing stuff, sanding things, adding some more texture. I might get some like brown paint or some other kinds of paint, like maybe it got splashed with a little bit of paint in the garage or something, you know, maybe it's got some weathering on it, and just keep working at it and stuff. Might add a few more details here and there as I go, but this is going to be like the next hour or two. Maybe, honestly, this might take me another whole day of just antiquing this and making it look good and stepping back, staring at it for a few hours, adding a little bit more. So we'll see. All right, we are done. I have weathered this thing completely inside and out. I weathered the rope, I weathered the outside of the box, the inside. This thing turned out really cool. I could not be happier with it. On the inside, we've got our lantern stored securely in there. We've got our matches back in here to hold that so we can light it. And we've got our fuel can. Up by the door, I put the striker for the matches, just to put it up here so I can strike a match, and that's in a secure place. Just use double-sided tape. And then we've got an extra generator here for the lantern. We've got our fuel filter and then all of our different mantles. So I weathered the inside as well, just to look real dirty and kind of worn in, especially the door here. So you can see it looks super dirty, super worn in, everywhere that would be just really used. I know they have plastic storage containers for these things now that you can carry them around in, and they keep them pretty safe, but I like this. I think it's something cool that I made, and it just looks old and weathered and just kind of wore in, which I like. I kind of dig old stuff like that, right? So I'm really happy with how it turned out. Let me know what you think though. I'm interested to hear what you think. What do you think? Did it turn out good? Does it look like a total waste of time? I'm interested to know what you think. Let me know down in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you did like this. Comment, subscribe if you want to see more things like this. And I will see you on the next one.